Okay, hey everybody. I'm Tina Campbell, the New York Regional Partner of Master Networks. This is our second quarterly workshop that we're doing for not just our Master Networks members, but for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, intrapreneurs, people that need us. They need the wisdom that some of our members can impart, and these people are the three speakers we have today are just amazing. The leadership team in my advisory board, made up of many of the members here who are fantastic, and especially Jim Sandler, who's the advisor he's the advisor for education and training and has been with me for many years. I'm just going to mute Edith. Hold on. Let me just get, okay. So please mute yourself when you please mute yourself when you come in. So anyway, so what we decided to do a couple three like mute. What we decided to do when we came into the situation we've been in with COVID and all that is to try to give as much training and as we could. The book that the CEO of Master Networks wrote is the 5+1 Business Disciplines. We call them the 5T's for I guess alliteration purposes. And the first one we did during the summer was on thinking. That's your missioning, visioning. This one is targeting. And so we decided to kind of go along with the topics that are in this book for anybody that's interested. So I'm going to turn it over to Jim Sandler. I just want to say something about Jim. So about, what was it, like 5 years ago, Jim, you came to me when we had just started this region of New York and nobody knew who Master Networks was. And, Jim, well, we started one of the groups down in White Plains and Jim came to me and he said, how can I help you? I mean, imagine that, like, this is just fledgling, other people are saying to me, what is this? And there's Jim going to me, how can I help you? So I was just like, why don't you be our, regional trainer for New York, the New York region? And he read the book and really immersed himself in our culture. And Jim has been with me every step of the way. So I just want to say big thank you to him, because we really wouldn't be here at the 400, members that we have in the New York City and Connecticut region if it wasn't for people like Jim that are just like jump in, and the rest of our advisory board and all the leaders that we have, because everybody in Master Networks is a leader, right? Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Jim and take it away, Jim. Thank you.
So first of all, thank you, Tina, because the reason we're all here is because of you. So I would like to give a shout out, a thank you to Tina, who started out with nothing and has turned it into this tremendous region. But today we're doing, as Tina mentioned, we're doing our second of our regional workshops. We have three terrific speakers today. We have Rob Genovese, we have Katherine McCahill, and we have Peggy Belden. So to start it off, I'm going to introduce our first speaker, who is Rob Genovese, who most of you have probably already known and have already met. Rob is a branding coach with over 30 years as a designer, having worked in advertising, marketing, and publishing. He launched his own business, Unleash My Beast brand, in 2015 as a website and design company, after coming to the realization that logos and websites didn't actually help businesses succeed. It's the strategy that makes them effective. He evolved his enterprise into a brand strategy company. That's when his clients really started seeing incredible results. Today, Rob's company offers strategy, design, and coaching for businesses looking to level up or scale up to create faster and more efficient growth. He's also a husband, a father of 4, and a speaker. He hosts his own YouTube channel, Unleash My Beast brand, where he teaches the power of branding. Please help me welcome Rob Genovese. Take it away, Rob.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Can everybody hear me? Give a thumbs up. Just want to make sure we got audio check. Excellent. Good to be here. Thank you for that great introduction, Jim. And thank you for Tina for always supplying us with great value through these workshops, which I'm very honored to be a part of, helping to produce and whatever I can do to help. Probably not as much as a guy like Jim. Jim's like the ultimate producer. And so I want to talk to you today. I only got about 20 minutes. So we're going to talk about branding as a whole, but we're going to talk about what it means to actually identify the ideal client, which really is just a little part of branding, but it's a part of what everybody needs to do. So I'm just going to bring up my slideshow here. Can you see that? We get a thumbs up. If you can see that, please. Thank you. All right. So what are we talking about here? What is an ideal client? And let me just make sure that I have, excuse me one second, as I just want to make sure that I can see the next slide coming up before it comes up. So, okay. So technical stuff. I'm not a technical guy. So how to identify your ideal client? Well, what is an ideal client? So people, we've heard this before, but what is this phrase ideal client? What does it actually mean? What is an ideal client? What do they look like? Who are they? And how do we find them? So that's what I'm going to do here. And I'm very privileged to be able to come before Katherine and Peggy. They're going to take what I do and they're going to expand on it into their world and what it means to take this to a very practical approach for all of you out there who are drivers of business, who are building your business. So an ideal client, well, I think one of the best ways to think about what an ideal client is to think about what a nightmare client is, because I know we've all had these before. Nightmare clients. What is a nightmare client, right? Well, first of all, when you talk to them, they're never quite sure that you're capable of helping them. They're always questioning you in the back of their mind. They haggle with you on your price. And they're like, hey, they want to pay less. In fact, they don't want to pay anything. And sometimes we compromise and we give a discount because, well, sometimes we feel like we need the business. This is a client who we're taking them through a process, and even though we're going through it and maybe they put down a deposit, they've agreed to pay you, and begrudgingly they're kind of bucking you as you lead them through the process. They're questioning your expertise. Hey, maybe you've had people like me, clients like mine, where they go to outside people who do what you do to get their input on what they hired you to do, which blows my mind, but that's what people do sometimes. They want to second guess your expertise, but yet they're paying you. And then they go through the process, and in the end, even though they may say they're happy, maybe they're not really happy. They don't really seem happy. And then they pay you, hopefully, they pay the rest of your fee. And then what's the worst part? What's the worst part? Anybody know the worst part? The worst part is they never refer you to anybody, which is good and bad. Good because if they refer you to somebody, it's going to be somebody like them. Bad because you never get a referral. That's the nightmare client. I mean, what's the ideal client is then obviously is the opposite. So before I get into this, I want to ask you some questions. I want to ask you, wouldn't it be great to be able to identify and avoid nightmare clients before they even become your clients? Wouldn't it be great to know, if you had this crystal ball where you could see, I'm going to meet with this client at 3:00. Oh, magic 8 ball. Remember the magic 8 ball? Oh, magic 8 ball. Should I take this client or not? Well, magic 8 ball sometimes right, but I have a better way of helping you identify how that's going to go for you that will actually work. And wouldn't it be better, conversely, to be able to attract more dream clients to you? So this ideal client is a dream client. We also call them super fans. Why? Well, think about the opposite. There are several aspects to what an ideal client is and how to identify them. And I'm going to show you how to do these two things in the next 20 minutes. I'm going to show you how to avoid nightmare clients. I'm going to show you how to attract ideal clients. And at the end, so stick around, don't jump off. I'm going to stick around because at the end, I'm going to give you a free tool to help you weed out nightmare clients, to be able to identify them, weed them out, and at the same time, attract more ideal clients. So stick around to the end and I'll give you that free tool. So identifying your ideal client, there's two aspects. First off, we have some general criteria. This applies to everybody. I know we all have specific industries of service that we do, but what we want to do is we want to generally talk about 4 things that will help you to understand who they are. So number 1, they're willing to pay your fee. I've had clients, I've had dream clients, nightmare clients. Those dream clients, the ideal clients, they don't question my fee. I tell them what it is and they go, okay, how soon can we get started? Number 2, they value your expertise. even before they come to you, they're feeling good. Maybe they were referred, maybe they saw you on social media and they come to you after speaking with you, they feel good, and they're already asking questions, and they're already understanding that, hey, this person is an expert, and they value that, and that comes through. Number three, when all is said and done, they're happy with the result you've given them. So they were good in the beginning, they paid your fee, they valued your expertise, they went through your process, and in the end, the result they were happy with. And number four, and the most important part, is they refer you to others like them. See, people know people who are like themselves. And when you attract ideal clients, they know other ideal clients. And that referral machine should kick in. And that's how you're going to start attracting them. There's another aspect of identifying your ideal client. That is specific criteria to your business. Right. So what are these things? These things are demographics, psychographics. Demographics are age, race, ethnicity, gender, marital status. How much money do they make? What's their education level? Do they have a job, or do they own a business? These are all demographics. These are like more concrete data. There's psychographics, which sounds crazy, and it probably is a little bit, but that's the personalities of the ideal client. That's their lifestyles, their interests, their opinions, their attitudes, their beliefs, and their values. So when you look at these things, these are ways to find out, get an idea of exactly who they are, right? So when you want to identify your ideal client, you can look at those things. You could also look at past clients, right? As I was going through this initially, you were thinking, I've had nightmare clients, and I've had ideal clients. So when you look at them, you can use past clients to kind of get an idea of what they look for, what they look like. Fourth thing is social media audience. Go to your social media audience. Look at, who they are, who's following you, who's interacting with you, who's a fan of yours, and see where they're hanging out, see where they're going, see who else they're following. And all these things, these four things, and there's a lot more, will help you give an insight as to identifying who they are. Because why? When you look at the slide I have up here, you've got a crowd of people. And if this was your audience, the audience is the people who are out there in general, maybe following you, maybe not. They're the general public, but they're people who are inclined to hire you one day, right? But maybe they're not in the buying mindset. Well, the ideal client is in that crowd, and they are in the buying mindset. So what you're looking to do is you're looking to connect with them and attract them to you. So how do you do this? Well, you want to be able to clarify your message. And I talk about this a lot. Messaging is a part of branding, but I hit on it a lot. Now, I'm a designer for a long, long time, and that's what I was trained. That's my degree. But I'm going to tell you something. As a designer, I'm going to tell you the words are more important. That the words that you use, the message that you are putting out there is going to be supported by the design. So it's very important that you get those words right. See, your message is the words used to differentiate yourself, right? When you craft that positioning statement, that unique, what do they call it? Unique selling proposition or unique value proposition. Those words that you put together, they have to be very deliberate because they're going to separate you. You are also using words in a way of amplifying your brand of who you are. When people, come to Unleash My Beast brand, if they're talking to me or if they're seeing anything online about me, I'm going to use different words. I'm not going to use words like, hey, it's really swell you're here. This is a very keen thing we're going to be doing here. No, we use words like, we're going to help you craft a killer soundbite. We're going to help you crush it in business, crush and killer. And words like this are part of my brand. They're not be a part of your brand necessarily, but I chose these words purposely because they connotate the emotion and the feeling that you give. See, branding is about the experience. So you want to choose words that are appropriate to your brand. So that there's lots of words that have the same meaning. But just like I demonstrated, you want to pick certain words that are going to be more appropriate depending on the situation. You wouldn't talk to a millennial the same way you talk to a boomer. Why? Disconnect. If you spoke to a millennial with boomer language, they don't want to hear it, right? Hand up. They don't want to hear it. Why? Because It's not connecting with them. The whole idea is you want to connect to attract. All right. So you want to be able to use this mindset in clarifying your message. The words you use are very important. So now, okay, so let me just go back for a second here. Okay. Now, I'm actually going to be summing it up pretty soon. But in this message, I want to be able to tell you that it's not just the words, but it's going to be a matter of how you are using that message in everything you do, right? So everything you do is what you say in person. It's what you record on video, and it's what you write, you know, your articles, blogs, whatever it is. Those are all where your messages are. Because I get people say a lot, they're like, but what is this messaging thing? Like, what do you mean by that? Well, it's wherever you express the words, right? So you're going to want to be able to think about that, focus that message. It's about focusing the message to connect, to attract. All right. So now you have, before you have several things. You have how to identify the ideal client. Okay. According to that criteria, we have specific criteria on how to do that. So I want you to think about those things for a second. And actually, if you're taking notes, think about some of the things I said. I want you to think in your mind. We'll do a little workshop here real quick for 1 minute. Let's think about who maybe has been an ideal client of yours in the past. Think in your mind, imagine who they were. Were they male or female? Were they, did they have kids? Not kids, married or single? Were they a business owner or were they an employee? Did they live in the city or did they live in the suburbs? What income level were they? Were they at average income or above average? Were they under 100K or above 100K, or were they even higher than that? This gives you a lot of insight as to who they are. You know, maybe that can, if you look at it even further, you get into the psychographics. So think about this. Based on those demographics, you can almost start to see, you know, what is their lifestyle? You start to look into these and see who these people are, where they hang out. You can stalk them on social media. If you know somebody like that, go to their Facebook profile, see what they post, see what they like. You know, I know this is borderline stalky, but look, that's what Facebook is for. It is a business tool. Hello, business tool. It's not a political platform necessarily, but it's a business tool if you want it to be. You can go there and see what you like. I found out about, this wasn't a client, but it was somebody who referred me business. I wanted to send her a gift. So what did I do? I went to her Facebook profile. I saw what she liked because I didn't know her that well. I found out exactly what she liked and I sent her exactly that thing. So you can get a lot of information from social media. I want you to take those things. Does that mean I'm up? Oh, okay. How much time, Jim? 6 minutes? Perfect. Thank you. I'm not even gonna take that much time because this is a kind of simple thing here. But what I want you to do is I want you to think about those things and identify them on paper. It's really important that you get these things on paper. And the reason for that is this. You're very busy doing the thing you do. So you're never going to think about this again. So I want you to do it right now. But once you get it down on paper, what you can do is you start to get a mental picture. And I took you through this imagine process because I want you to have a picture of the person in your mind. Now, that ideal client, by the way, this is the dream client. This is the perfect client. Once you fulfill those criteria, and maybe you can match it against the past ideal client that you already serviced and they were happy. And you can say, do they match up? Do I want more like that? Or maybe it's something a little off. Maybe I just need to adjust something to get to the ideal client. And as you get more and more clients and you keep this in mind, you'll be able to better hone that picture, what they look like. So you can what? Seek out more of them. It's like putting out a missing persons report. My ideal client looks like this. Have you seen them? So when you're in your networking rooms, you know, hey, I'm looking for somebody in this industry, in this field, and this is what they look like. And guess what? You give other people a picture of what you're looking for, and now they can refer those people to you. You cannot hit a target that you cannot see. So make sure you've written that down. And by the way, stick around to the end because I'm going to give you some free tools and some things that are going to help you with this process in case you didn't get some of it. So this is understanding a mindset, okay, about this. And I want to wrap it up with this. You're going to need to pound it. daily, everywhere. And why is that? Well, here's the thing. It's like I said before, you pound it in your messaging. It's what you write, say, and record. This means when you're in your networking groups and you're doing your sound bites, it means when you meet somebody in person, please God, someday we're back to in person a lot and we're walking into different rooms and you meet somebody, what are you saying? You want to make sure that message is on point. So you're saying this every single day, multiple times a day. And sometimes you may get bored because why? Because you've heard it multiple times a day. And if you've heard me more than several times, you know, my message doesn't change ever, 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 because I want to be known for the one thing. You could be an expert in one thing. And when you're the renowned expert in that one thing, maybe you can be known for another thing, but only until you become an expert in the first one. So you want to be able to say this all the time because you want to get it in your head. And when you're saying it, here's where the rubber meets the road. And here's where it's going to work. You cannot time the stock market. What does that mean? It means you can't time a sale. You don't know when your ideal client is going to purchase. You cannot time it. So what do? You have to do the next best thing. At the moment your ideal client decides in their own mind that they're going to make a purchase, and maybe it's you and maybe it's your competitor, you'd better show up in their mind. You have to be there when they decide. That's the only way you can do it. That's why it's daily. It's a grind, it's a grind, it's a grind. And you never want to change the messaging because it's going to connect with a lot of ideal clients out there. And you want to connect with a lot of them so that when that moment hits, they'll think of you. So here's what we're going to do. I want you to go out there. I want you to attract the ideal client, but I promised you something. I want to give it to you. Everybody likes free stuff, right? And I'm going to give you some free stuff, and this is free, and there is no strings attached. There's no hidden fees or anything. I want to give this to you because I want to see you all succeed. This is the reason I got into the branding business, because it really helps business owners and business drivers. So here's what you're going to get. I'm going to give you this exclusive to the Unleash My Beast brand. It's a Persona Zone client identifier. This is a tool I developed that you can use to identify your client. So when you identify your ideal client, you're going to know exactly what they look like, but what's going to help you do at the same time, when you got somebody in your mind, you're talking to them on the phone and you're getting a feel for them, you'll run it through this identifier. And based on the result of running it through there, you'll know whether they're an ideal client or whether they're a nightmare client, or maybe they're somewhere in between. There is a little bit of a gray area because, look, not everybody's going to be your ideal client. They may be not so ideal, but they still may be good for you, and you still want to take them on. But as you'll notice in that identifier, it's a pretty awesome tool. The further you get away from that bullseye, the more you're moving towards a nightmare client. So I want you to be able to go there. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a web address to go get it and use it. And I would love your feedback on it. When you have success with it, please let me know. But I'm actually going to give you a little bit more. I like to give a lot of value. Tina Campbell taught me this. Add value to other people, and you will always win in the end. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to give you steps on how to focus your message. There's going to be 6 steps. You follow these steps, you'll be able to focus your message to attract more of those super fans, those ideal clients. And thirdly, I want to give you a framework for a killer soundbite. It's really, really simple. Don't be deceived by its simplicity. This works. When you take this framework and you fill in the blanks, you're going to have a great soundbite that's going to be very effective to help you do that 30 seconds of when you're in the elevator or when you meet somebody at a mixer and you've only got 30 seconds before they fake it and go, oh, I've got to go to the bathroom, because you're yammering on about they don't know what, right? You want to clarify that message. So here's where it is. I want you to get it now. unleashmybeastbrand.com/gift. You're going to go there. You're going to get the downloads. You're going to use them. And the only thing I ask is that when you have success with any of these, that you please let me know and please succeed. And I'm done. And I want to thank you all for listening.
Thank you very much, Rob. You did it with 10 seconds to spare. And so we're going to take a couple of minutes for questions. So does anybody have a question for Rob? Sammy Sammy was
just giving applause.
Sammy was giving applause. Does anybody have a question? So if you have a question, unmute yourself and then raise your hand. Aviva.
I don't have a question. I do have a remark. It's so funny. You remind me something. Years ago, I was telling a story for a customer about every time she sees Tide in the grocery store to think about me. That's it. And you know what? She
There
still
you
do.
go.
So just a mark. It's really, thank you for reminding me.
Okay,
You're
anybody
welcome.
else? Anybody else have any questions? Emily, and then Dr. Wanda.
Hey, Rob, thanks for an awesome presentation. Question for you on branding when it comes to, like, you would talk to millennials different than baby boomers, fathers versus mothers. So I get you want to target it really specific, but you know, on your website, so you're not turning anybody off who's referred to you, like, do you kind of do your best to include both genders, both demographics, or, and then just in your, you know, conversation, go for your specific dream client?
Yeah, so here it is, and also another plug, but go to my YouTube channel, Unleash My Beast brand, and there's a lot of videos on there, and there's one in specific that I just did. It just came out last week, and it's called The Paradox of Focus. And the paradox of focus is this: when we get into business, we always feel like we want everybody to buy from us. It's a natural inclination, but it's not very realistic. And especially in Master Networks, we're very good at talking to people about this, about giving a specific ask. And Tina told me something. She goes, give a specific ask in the meetings to give people something to shoot for, right? Because it's kind of like this. When you're talking to everybody, nobody really hears you. So you want to focus as best you can, Emily, and you want to really identify it. What I just went through with the demographics and psychographics is real, and you want to get that on paper. Why? Because what you're going to do is you're going to get those ideal clients. And the whole purpose here is really for one thing. When you get the ideal clients and they refer you to other people, you kick in this referral machine, and they start to bring in more clients. And the whole idea is to create that endless flow of clients who love you. So you don't have to constantly be out like with a you know, like a hunter trying to find the next client. So you'll get more of those. But here's the paradox. Even though you're focusing and you're thinking, well, I'm only really getting this narrow group of people, that's not so. Because what happens is you become the trusted expert advisor in your field. And when the word gets out, you'll get the other people who pay attention, because everybody wants the best, and they're going to hire you even though they may not fit within your ideal client. They may be a couple of degrees away, but they want you because you're the best. So guess what? You get your ideal client and you get everybody else too. But it does take some time to be able to do that. And it takes a lot of discipline to keep that focus, but you will get them for sure.
Thanks, Rob. Dr. Wanda.
Hi, Dr. Wanda.
Hi, Rob. Thank you very much. Actually, I recently had to redo my ideal client. So here's the question. Is that, not that is it true, but how frequently should you narrow down, I guess, your ideal client? Because sometimes you need to refine it. I mean, that's what I've heard before, where it's not a static thing. It continuously evolves. So you have to then narrow down their demographics, or the psychographics, a new term that I learned from you. So I was wondering about that.
So it's a great question. And so what happens is this, you've got to be moving, right? So you got to be taking on new clients. And in the beginning, if you're not really sure who your ideal client is, because maybe you're new in business or maybe only a year or so. So the more clients you take on, the more you start to notice the trends. The more you start to say, hey, they have certain common threads and certain commonalities that they have. So the more clients you get, the more you're able to, like you're saying, evolve, but more understand how to focus better. What I'm talking about now is if you're starting from scratch, identifying those things like I just went through are going to give you a starting block, right? But you're right. As you go through clients and over time, you're going to be able to see the nuances in your clientele and your audience, because your brand is going to attract a certain audience. And so you're right. It will evolve over time, but as long as you're in motion, as long as you're getting new clients, And as long as you still have that target, look, there's a dartboard and it's on the wall, and the bullseye is the place you want to hit. But when you go outside it, you still get credit. You still score, right? You score a little bit less, but you still score until you keep getting better at getting the ideal.
Thank you very much, Rob. Unfortunately, we don't have any more time for questions. We need to move on to our next speaker. Thank you so much for the presentation, Rob.
Thank you,
It was
everybody.
great.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Katherine McCahill. Katherine is the founder of Well-Versed Marketing, a boutique digital marketing agency geared towards small and mid-sized businesses. Katherine's been a digital marketer for over 15 years. Prior to opening Well-Versed Marketing, she worked in a variety of senior and executive digital marketing roles at book publishers like Penguin, Random House, HarperCollins, St. Martin's Press, and Wiley. She holds a certificate in digital marketing from Cornell University. Please share with me to welcome Katherine McCahill.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Jim, for that wonderful introduction. And thank you, Rob. I was writing down notes throughout that and things that I will probably reference through this. So it'll be a little quiz for everybody. Though full disclosure, total Gen X move, Rob mentioning Facebook. Come on down to the millennials and our Oregon Trail generation, total Gen Xer. I say this to Rob because I love Rob like a big brother. Rob doesn't know that, but that's how I feel about him. So I feel like I can give him these kind of gentle ribbing. So I'm gonna pull out my screen so that we can take a look at it and get into some of the real nitty-gritty details. So let's go. There we go. Okay, so what's one thing that you think about when you think about marketing? You've got your brand, you have your pretty pictures, and you have your targeting. And Rob actually sets a really great framework for this and what he does, which is who is your ideal client and how do you get to them? And one specific thing when I think about marketing and how you target your customers and that is how do you turn your expertise into a business, and how do you turn your passion into a business? As Jim said, I worked in book publishing for a really long time and saw a lot of small businesses and a lot of bookstores. And the most successful ones were the ones who realized my audience is who I have access to and who I can reach. I am not selling a store full of my favorite books, then it's a hobby and a library. I am selling books that other people will like and other people will purchase. So I come back to this place a lot where we talk about your marketing funnel. And I'm sure you've heard about the funnel, and I'm sure you see on your social media ads for funnels, and people say funnel and it sounds very business jargony, but it's also sounds cool, or like it might be technical or hard to do. So let's kind of get into this question. What is a funnel? Is a funnel option a funnel cloud where things are just kind of flying around all crazy and you don't know what's happening, and the Wicked Witch of the West comes flying by with like a cow and Wizard of Oz or something like that happens? Is a funnel option B, where you have this real specific, this is a science experiment, it's happening in this exact way, don't spill? Is a funnel option C, a checkout page? This thing from Nordstrom's, you enter all of your things. It could be a lot of these things. If you're thinking it's option C, you're wrong. Option C is not a funnel. Option C is a checkout page. A lot of softwares will come in and they will sell you a variety of funnels that will look like this and implement a lot of things. However, this needs to work. It needs to work great, but this is just how you execute getting them to purchase. They are already way at the bottom when they get here. So let's talk about how do we come back up to the top. So the marketing funnel is something that I think is really fundamental to your business and understanding how your business works. So it starts at the top. Customer journey is another word you hear people use a lot for this, which is where are they on their customer journey? Where do we find them? The top of your funnel is things like awareness, which falls into your social media, your advertising, SEO, any publicity that's happening for you? Are you mentioned in a local magazine? Do you have product? Is that mentioned? It's essentially, do people even know what you are and what you do? It's kind of the first step to all of this. We move people into a point of consideration, which is where they think, maybe I do need this thing, this service, now that I know that these services even exist for me. Your tactics you use are things like your discounts, your webinars, your white papers, your personalized content. This is, careful when I say this, your podcast is not a lead magnet. Write this down. Your podcast is not a lead magnet. A lot of people spend a lot of time on content that is hard to produce, takes a lot of time and takes a lot of money, but may not actually be getting you to sale. When we come into conversion, we look at your adds to cart or just someone actually asking you for a proposal saying, I would like to see how much your services cost and what this is. And then you get into your real super customers, which is your loyal customers. So these are people who buy from you multiple times, and that's a very small group of people, but they are probably a significant portion of your revenue. And then advocacy, which is people who are purchasing a lot. These are people who come in for your loyalty programs because they are purchasing so much and they are telling so many people about them that you can reward them and pass that on. Again, notice that this is at the very bottom. This is a very small portion of people. I think we get into a lot of marketing buzz trend words where you start to talk about your advocacy and passing it on and how do you turn your fan into an advocate? Yes, do that. But know that there's a lot of steps that somebody needs to get to that. Very few of us play Monopoly and immediately hit like do not pass go, collect $100, $200. Most of us have to hit all of those tiny spots beforehand. So I do a lot of my work online. I'm a digital marketer. I've been a digital marketer since it feels like the beginning of the internet. I came to digital marketing because I loved that you could track things. I loved that you could see the circle close. You didn't throw things out and it just felt like, oh, yay, something happened. So I come into this idea and I focus on it a lot when I work with people on vanity metrics versus growth metrics. So what's a vanity metric? Vanity metrics are metrics that make you feel really good. They feel great. You take them to the bank, you hold them close, they keep you warm at night, they make you feel really special. I have so many followers. I posted this picture, it got so many likes. My email has so many people on it. I am the best at this. But then when you kind of dig into it a little bit, you look at your growth metrics. So you think, wait a second, how many of those people actually clicked on my website? How many of those people hit my contact me? How many of those people on my email list are actually even opening this email or actually clicking through to the thing that I am selling them? Those are your growth metrics. That's where you make money. That's where the money comes from. So I like to show this thing from my Instagram. This is my company Instagram, which for a period of time I was spending a lot of time on because I needed it to grow at a high rate to seem bigger than maybe where my business was at a period of time. And so I spent a lot of time on my Instagram. I put out all this content. I was really excited about it. I have this one post that just blew up, which is a Brené Brown quote, which I love, which is don't let yesterday take up too much of today. If you have not changed your social media accounts into business accounts, do that and do it like yesterday. And that's very easy to do on those platforms because that's where you can actually see insights and information on what is actually happening there, who your fans are, who's following you, what times of day they're coming in. But back to this, I'm like, oh my God, I'm amazing. All I'm going to do is post Brené Brown quotes. Like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened. I'm going to post my book recommendations. I'm going to post Brené Brown quotes. Actually, secretly, I'm a lifestyle blogger. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. So let's actually go into my Instagram and look at this difference, which is my reach, 593 people, versus my growth metric, which is my website taps. What content's actually bringing people into my site? What will we cover in a free consultation? Brought 2 people. All of these other pretty things, a lot fewer people. Brené Brown, nowhere up here. So perhaps I should not post as many Brené Brown quotes. Note to self, read her in your own time. Perhaps this is also something one should take directionally, which is if you are not getting any website clicks, perhaps you should spend less time on your Instagram. What have I done in the last month? Spend less time on my Instagram because it is not converting for me. You know who is following me on my Instagram? My mom, my sister, some of my best friends, a lot of other social media managers who do social media management who are actually not going to buy from me because they do the same thing. They do a different version of what I do. So they are not my ideal client. They are just people who follow me on Instagram. What is actually the most important thing when you think about your business and you think about your ideal client, and after you've done all of this really important psychographic work, is not only where do they live? Do they live on Instagram? Do they live on Facebook? Do they live out in the community and they're just actually out and about? Are they reading their email? What are they actually doing? Is to really start to look at things like your Google Analytics and to look at just your revenue streams and to say, where are these people coming from? Where does my web traffic come from? And where does my revenue come from? And every business's and every person's marketing mix is going to look different. For some people, you are going to see a graph which maybe has a lot of refers from paid social, but not a lot of conversion from there. Maybe this is actually your biggest piece. It's your biggest refer and your biggest conversion. Maybe you get some people from your organic, from your SEO, which is just your organic search on Google. Maybe organic social is a small piece of what that is, so you shouldn't spend all your time there. Maybe email is a small piece, so you don't need to send an email every day or every 3 days. Maybe your business where email is actually where all of your revenue is coming from. So you need to get that email list up really fast, and you need to figure out how to do that and get enough people opening it. The point is that it looks different for everyone. There is no one size fits all. Everyone's business is different. So here's something that kind of comes up a lot, which is, do you have fans or do you have customers? So I pulled this from a client that I'm working with, and she's an e-commerce brand, and she's got thousands of followers on Instagram, really, really great and really beautiful content. We've been running a lot of advertising. And so one of the ads that we are running, we're specifically targeting people who've been to her website and targeting people who have engaged with her social media over the last 90 days. No one who has engaged in her social media has purchased from the ad. This can lead to two questions for us as we look at these vanity metrics. Are those people her fans and they like her? And the people who are the most engaged are family members, friends, other small business owners who have spent a lot of time looking at things that say, the best way to support a small business is to like them online, just like their Instagram posts and their Facebook posts. This is supporting them. Sure it is, but it's also not paying them. And so there's a problem here, which is, why are those people not converting? Are they coming into traffic in a different way? Or are they just your fans? There's a difference between your fans and your customers. And it's important to be clear on what that is and where you're spending your time and who you're chasing. One of the things I hear the most from people is, but I posted about my sale on Instagram this one time, and I posted about it on Facebook and LinkedIn one time. Why didn't I make $1 million? Well, I'll tell you why you didn't make $1 million. You didn't make $1 million because only about 15% of the people following you there actually saw it. Facebook and Instagram are controlling the algorithm. The algorithm is set so only a certain percentage of people see your things. So if your sale didn't work, it's because you only have your friends. You only have 15% of people. Your creative might not have worked because people's scrolling habits are pretty fickle. And the algorithm is controlling your content. I tell a story a lot because I think it actually is one of those things that really kind of hits this on the head for some people. I was, as many people my age do, we have an old crazy uncle who does not believe the internet is controlling him. And so I worked in books. For 15 years, every single thing I said was books, 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 books. Every email I had was books. Every single conversation I had was books. Every single thing that I did, everything that happened around me was books, titles, authors, marketing, these things. And then I changed and I went to business for myself. And so suddenly my books were not every single conversation I had. And over time, book content started to drop out of my algorithm. It dropped out of my feed slowly but surely, to a point where it was not actually showing up at all anymore. And I never actually realized it. And I didn't realize it because, like most people, my life had gotten busy. I was doing other things. And I got a book from a friend and I posted about it online because I was super excited about it. And within literally 17 hours, I had 8 posts from book publishers show up in my Instagram, one after another. Boom, 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 boom. 8. I am their ideal customer. I read 20 books a year. They weren't showing up in my feed. Think about what is not showing up in your feed for you. Think about what is. Think about how you are showing up in other people's feeds. There are ways that you can control this and that you can look about this. Because I know I've said this to you and now you're all freaked out. Is the internet controlling me? The internet is not fully controlling you, but it's sort of controlling you. I mean, it's sort of controlling you. It's controlling the algorithm, the feed, your business rankings and how you're showing up on Google, your search rankings and all the information and the inputs that are coming to you. But you can take control of it. You control your email list. So how many people are there and how you're reaching out to them. Are you getting in front of them with your message and the things you need to tell them? You control your marketing and your advertising budget and where you're putting that dollars and how you're reaching people and what that looks like. You control your targeting. So you have your ideal client and your ideal customer. How do you find them online and how do you set these goals and how do you eliminate waste to make sure you're not hitting the same people over and over again who have already kind of dismissed and said, I don't want this. You control your content. So how much is your content shareable? Is it helpful? Is it searchable online? And your time. How much time are you spending on each of these things? Really go into your Google Analytics, go into your analytics on your social media and see what is actually happening there. How many engagements are you getting? How many shares? Does any of that matter? Has anyone you've met said, I saw you on social media? Now, for some people, florists, restaurants, Jean and her amazing photographs, yes, those people are in fact stalking you on social media and probably just using it like a catalog. For some of us, they are not. No one is stalking me for my lifestyle photos online. I can assure you of that. No one is looking for my lifestyle photos. Except again, my mom. My mom is looking for my lifestyle photos, no one else. So the most important thing that you can do for your business is to optimize for mobile. It is literally the most important thing that you can do. 50% of mobile searches lead to a store visit that day, and mobile friendliness is one of the top factors that Google takes into account with their search listings, both for content and for like Google My Business pages. 55% of Google searches have local intent. So something that says near me, XYZ near me, what is near me? And over 50% of those result in a store visit that day or the next day. They have high intent. People are looking for something because it's frequently a plumber near me, a florist near me, a gas station near me. This is a needs-based thing. People are searching for it. So making sure that you show up at the top of Google is extremely important. I like to give people tips and takeaways. I do not have a fancy download like Rob, though I should, and I will put this on my website as well. But if we really get into it, my top tips and takeaways are use your Google My Business page. Make sure that it's up to date. Make sure that it has the right hours and the right times. Make sure that you're listed on local directories like Yelp, Houzz, Angie's List, Yellow Pages, Yext, any of that. All of that counts towards Google as incoming links with high domain, high authority. So it's like when you're looking for the best restaurant or the best cup of coffee near you, all of these people saying this is the best cup of coffee or you're the best at your business counts. So that helps. Incentivize reviews from anyone who comes in. Make sure that they are leaving you positive reviews online, because more 5-star ratings means that you show up higher in the Google search algorithm. Be mobile friendly and have fast load times. Your site should load in under 3 seconds in order to be considered a fast loading site and have Google really pick you up. Everyone's other question is always, what can I do for my social media to make sure that's super relevant? So I would say, make sure you're using 11 hashtags and everything. Make sure that your hashtags are location and niche specific so that it's saying, what do you do and where are you? Tag and engage with other people in your area to kind of develop a lot of engagement, because that will help your social media. And then post when your users are online, because anytime, if you see that everyone who is engaging with your stuff is at 10 o'clock at night, make sure that you are posting at 10 o'clock at night. This doesn't mean you need to be up at 10 o'clock at night posting. There's a tremendous amount of free and very cheap software that will let you do that, to schedule that in advance. That's how you make your life a little simpler. That's how I make my life a little simpler. And all of that is available to you. So thank you for your time, and let's soar.
Thank you very much. Oops. Thank you very much, Catherine. We have time for a few questions. Madeline, and then Angela. Unmute yourself, Madeline.
Okay, I thought I did, sorry. Catherine, thank you so much for that information. So I would like a really straight answer from you, and you have permission.
This is a lot of pressure, Madeline.
So I'm an old-fashioned girl, and I like one-to-one emails. It's the only thing I do to fill my workshops. It's working pretty well. Am I missing something? I really just like to stick with individual. I cut and paste, I do all kinds of things, and I love the process. Am I really holding myself back from growing my coaching and workshop business by sticking with that?
You know, I think this is really a question, and one of the biggest questions I ask people when I start working with them is, what are your goals? Do you want to fill 300 seats for it and look at that? Or do you want to have more of a personal and intimate setting, which is smaller? If your goals are, I want to have 300 or 500 people there, then yeah, no, we're going to have to spend some money and you're going to have to go out in a bigger way. But if you want it to be small and intimate and that's working for you and the emails are working, do that. I'm actually a really strong believer in if you have a process that is working and is making you money, keep doing it. Don't change it unless your goals have shifted or the process is not working for you anymore. Marketing is only one piece of what you're doing. Your sales are a piece. This is why larger organizations have marketing people and sales reps. They have both of those people because they are working together, but they are having different functions. Marketing is what is your market? What is your addressable market? What do you need to do to kind of pull all of these levers? How do you reach out to further people? What materials do your salespeople need to get there? Sales is that one-to-one connection of, this is amazing. It's how they nurture people along. Email is how you nurture more people at a time. Sales is how you nurture one person at a time. So if sales is working for you, do that.
Thank you very much. That's great affirmation for me. Thank you. Thank you.
Angela?
Well, first of all, my mind is blown. I wouldn't know where to begin. Okay.
Well, Catherine.
I think I may have to. So I looked at I actually took a screenshot of your little bonuses and tips. And I'm looking at it and it says at least 11 hashtags. Now I've been doing that with Instagram. Do you mean with the hashtags on all social media platforms?
No, hashtags work for Instagram and LinkedIn. Facebook doesn't really play with hashtags. It's
okay, because
for Twitter,
Instagram and hashtag have a relationship, one owns the other. So when I post on Instagram, it goes straight to my Facebook and it has the identical hashtags. So that's why I kind of asked the question is should I be putting hashtags on Facebook? Or so you're just saying Instagram and LinkedIn, you said?
Hashtags are really a LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter kind of thing. And that's largely because they started in these more geeky developer places where people use hashtags in that, and Facebook started more as a straight up consumer platform. Hashtags are now just something we all use and as part of the vernacular, but it started in this super nerd language. And I say that with all love for being a nerd, because I really can get into the weeds in there. It's more a matter of, if we were going to really get into your content marketing and look at your content marketing, and this is the thing that no one actually really has time to do, but is better and best practice, is looking at each platform and figuring out what is best for each platform, because the way you engage in each of platforms should be a little bit different. Instagram it's become very video centric. It's become very personal. It's become very aesthetic. There's a look and a feel to what you're trying to do there, which is why it works really well for kind of lifestyle people, design kind of things. And a lot of people have kind of shifted there. LinkedIn is very professional. It's very one-to-one in that way. And Facebook is changing what it's doing a lot. And this is where you have to really understand the Facebook world, which is, as Facebook redesigns and spends time, Facebook is actually deprioritizing and de-ranking business pages. Content that you used to post on your business page in Facebook is not going to go as far as it used to 6 months ago, as it did last year. Facebook, as many of you have probably seen, you've probably been on Facebook and it's like new Facebook. And you're like, ooh, new Facebook, what is happening? Why does this look different? Nobody. But new Facebook, what it is doing very specifically is they change the algorithm so that it focuses more on groups and one-to-one communication. So things that get posted by your friend, your aunt, your uncle, someone you went to like high school with 20 years ago, is actually going to have more weight in your feed than a business you are connected to, because they want to have, or a media platform, they want you to have more authentic communication with people.
Okay, so you brought that up and I'm going to address this. I'm being told to, you know how you can just like and just keep scrolling? That if you're going to like something, love it, hug it, whatever, you're going to do that little icon. You have to engage.
Engaging
you have to
is
write
better.
something.
Liking is good. Liking and iconing it is good. Writing something is better.
Okay.
Because it
Clarification.
gives more weight.
Thanks for the questions. Thank you so much, Katherine. We need to move on to our next speaker. Our third speaker is Peggy Belden. Peggy is the founder of Belden Consulting Group and a business growth advisor, helping her clients get more comfortable and effective in the sales process. She works with business owners, small and medium-sized companies, struggling with the right messaging to prospects who are frustrated with handling objections. She has been in sales and management her entire adult life, starting in broadcast sales, including radio and television syndication. She held upper management roles at ABC, CBS, and ran the broadcast division of the Wall Street Journal's radio and television program. Please welcome Peggy Belden.
All right, let me share my screen. Thank you so much, Jim, and all the kind words. Hello, everybody, and welcome. I gotta say, thank you, Rob and Katherine. I mentioned in the chat that, here we go. Branding, marketing, and selling go hand in glove. This is a fabulous workshop, so I am thrilled to be with all of you. All right, so we're gonna go rapid fire in the essence of time. So, oh, here we go. All right, wonderful. All right, so let me begin. I'm thrilled. So let me begin by saying our current business environment isn't where it was 8 or 9 months ago, and in the months ahead, it will not be where it is today. I recently was listening to a podcast, and the host, Laura Cathcart-Robbins, mentioned this, which really resonated with me. Her feeling was, we are no longer in the new normal, we are in the now normal. And you know what? I quite agree. I share with people all the time how we must still continue to do things differently and not do different things. Let me say that again, do things differently, don't do different things. So today I am going to present to you targeting your sales playbook strategy. We're going to unpack some business practices and some lessons that you will learn with the hopes that you'll find this worth the price of admission. More importantly, You'll walk away feeling either really inspired or you'll feel validated that you're all doing the right things. A lot goes on in the sales process. So my sales process is a 6-step strategy. And one of those steps is what I'll be sharing with you today. So before we get into that, let me first ask a virtual question of all of you. A 2-part question that you could put your answer in the chat, please, would be terrific. So first is, in your organization, do you have a sales process? And if yes, is it in writing? Please share. Jim, you're going to be my executive producer, so watch the chat with me, please.
They're going fast and furious here.
Okay, you know, I'm not seeing anything, so please guide me.
Got it. So we got no, yes, 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 no, no, yes, 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 and in writing. And no.
Wow, wonderful.
Well, about
Terrific. All right.
50-50.
50-50, good. So we've got a good mix of people with or not with a sales process. Thank you all for your responses. So the sales process I'm going to talk to you about has the 6 compartments, as I mentioned earlier, and they are the following. It's building rapport. It is the mutual contract. It is discovery. It is qualifying and disqualifying. It is the investment. And last, the proposal. So let me repeat that again. You may want to write this down. Rapport, mutual contract, discovery, qualifying or disqualifying, investment, and the proposal. Overall, sales is not a technical issue, it's a conceptual one. Conceptually, this is how it works for the seller to be successful. It's 3 elements in order to be successful and feel comfortable with what you're doing. It's about mindset, it's about activity, and it's about skill. Think of it as a 3-legged stool. Mindset, activity, and skill. So let's talk about mindset first. Mindset means, what is your belief system? Is it one of a growth mindset? Is it positive? Is it prosperous? Is it of abundance? Or do you have at times a self-limited belief mindset or a fixed mindset, one of scarcity, negative thoughts, such as thinking things like, I'm not worthy to call on a CEO. If I make phone calls, I'm going to be bothering people. They're going to hang up on me. I'm not going to do this today. These are all mental roadblocks. I call them head trash. It happens to us every day. It's okay. They come, they go. It's completely normal in the sales process. Next is activity or your prospecting behavior. It's being intentional. What's your plan? What's your action game to get to the sale? Is your plan sending 100 outbound personalized emails? Is it making 50 cold calls, dialing and smiling 4 times a week?
Completely opposite directions for 2 different states. Oh. And that's the reason why is that the Supreme Court looks at each state specifically. We don't have a federal election. We can roll up
we've been bombed.
State elections. And so those decisions could easily go in 2 different directions.
Somebody's got to turn their sign
The reason I like to mention that is my concern is that some people will read into that at best hypocrisy, at worst a conspiracy. When in fact, they're just interpreting state's laws according to the way they're written.
We can feed everybody. Hold on a second.
It might be Kevin.
Presumed to be apolitical, and Chief Justice Roberts has done anything.
Oh, that's not a bomb.
To keep the court in that state.
I think it's
But with
Kevin.
the placement of Amy Cody Barrett, clearly the court leans to the conservative side of the bench.
Okay, so hold on. Let me just get Peggy unmuted. There you go, Peggy.
And Peggy,
Wow.
are you moving your slides? Are you moving your slides? Because they're not moving on the screen.
I'm not there yet.
Okay.
So that's not the issue. Wow, how about that? All right, so email campaign, phone strategy, and last, are you establishing LinkedIn connections, first degree relationships? All of this is part of your action plan. So the thought is, what are you doing? What are you doing to stand out from the noise versus blending in? And then last, the skill or your technique. That's the sales playbook strategy. Selling is not just about technique or technique alone. It just doesn't work. The winning combination with the technique is complemented with your growth mindset and an actionable activity. So before I get started, let's have another opportunity in the chat. And if you would be so kind, all of you complete the sentence for me. You ready? I could be selling more or be more effective if, fill in the blank. I'll give you 10 seconds. I could be selling more or be more effective if. Jim, you'll have to help me. Not seeing the chat.
Have a steady prospect method. My sales process was right. Block my time. More consistent time blocking.
Awesome. Oh, good. I hear it a
Apply
lot.
myself more.
Terrific. All right. These are all great things, particularly time blocking. And as we are approaching the end of 2020, going into 2021, coming up with our plans and strategies, time blocking is a huge piece of that. Terrific. So in addition to that, let me tell you about what good selling isn't. It's not about winging it. Winging it does not work. Today, who could argue with that? With all of the resources available to us, with technology and platforms and data, no excuses. You could really, really be leveling up your game and selling fantastically. So again, another question in the chat, because I'm really curious. Have you ever been in a position of winging it? Raising my hand, been there, done that. Please share.
Yes. Oh yeah, you sure have. Yes, 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 yes.
I'm so relieved I'm not alone.
Yes,
Thank
every
you.
day.
Who said yes every day? Oh,
Never.
okay. We need to
Double
talk.
win.
All right,
What
terrific.
else is there?
Yeah. Well, okay, so there's no surprise. Being prepared works. It matters. And the sales playbook provides that for you. It's also a confidence builder, a skill developer, and it sets the path for a growth mindset. All right, so let me give you just a quick agenda of what you can expect today. Second step of the 6 sale process is the mutual contract. It's got 4 elements, and I'll go through all of that with you. And then we'll demonstrate what it looks like, what it feels like. And thank you, Jim Sandler, because you're going to role play with me. Thank you. A lot of arm twisting, but I got him to do it. Just kidding. Then we'll do a quick recap, and then I'm happy to hear some takeaways from you and answer any questions that you may have. All right, so what's this all about? What is the mutual contract? Well, it kind of sets the stage for every time you meet with a buyer or a client. And it is the only step of the 6 that you use every time in the process. It's that mechanism that both you and the buyer are going to mutually agree upon every step of the way. It becomes the agenda for the meeting and sets the framework. It's you leading the buyer's agenda, and then yours is to follow directly after. Most important, it establishes clearly defined expectations. There are no surprises, there's no mystification. And it becomes a no pressure sales call, taking the pressure off of you and the buyer. And why? Why? Because you're going to be asking permission to ask questions, and a lot of questions. And along the way in the mutual contract, you're going to ask them permission to say no. Imagine that. Who says that? All right. So asking permission and asking questions this is what it's going to sound like. And allowing the buyer to say, you know what, we're not going to be a fit. So let's take a look of what the 4 compartments look like in the mutual contract. It's purpose, it's time, it's the both agendas and next steps. So first, purpose. What is the objective? What's the reason? What are we meeting for? I like to put it up like a mission statement and state it in one sentence. Next is time. Thanking the buyer for getting together, or the client, and confirming how long this engagement will be. If you agree to 30 minutes, confirm the 30 minutes, because guess what? Stuff happens. they could say, Peggy, I'm so glad you asked. I'm terribly sorry something came up. I only have 15 minutes today. Now, isn't that good to know up front? Because 10 minutes into the conversation, you'd have to wrap up in 5. So know the time allotted so you can be better prepared. Moving next to both agendas. I mentioned the buyer's agenda first, and that is stating the expectations of what they're expecting to hear from you. If they've got challenges or problems, can they be thinking you are going to be the person to bring the solutions? The second part of the agenda is your agenda. And you're going to find this to be funny, but your only agenda is to get to know them. All your responsibility is to gather information, don't give it. I know that's tough. We want to get into our pitch. We want to talk about features and benefits. I'm telling you, don't do it. Be an information gatherer and be intentional and an active listener along the way. And then this is my favorite, the next steps or the outcome. In the end of the mutual contract, you will mutually agree on, you know what? Can we agree to meet again if we find that there's an alignment here? Let's get the calendar out and let's see where this is going to take us. So that's part of the no pressure sales call. All of the expectations have been set up front. Okay, so let's kind of show what this looks like. Jim, are you ready? You got to unmute yourself, my friend.
I'm with you.
Are you with me?
I'm with you.
All right. Thank you again for role playing. All right, so here's the scenario. Jim is the buyer. I will be the seller. Jim, you are a small business owner. You have a manufacturing company. You are not only the CEO, you are the head of sales. And you've got 2.5 people who work for you in going out for new business engagement. So you and I, through an email exchange, agreed to have a 15-minute virtual meeting. So 2 weeks ago, that meeting took place virtually. At the end of that conversation, we agreed that we would have a half-hour sales call. All right, you got it?
I'm with you.
Are you with me?
I'm with
All
you.
right. So before I get into it, just keep in mind, think of this as a sheet music. I'm furnishing you with sheet music, and you're going to compose the tunes and create it and nuance it in your own style. There are lots of different sounding mutual contracts. You do it to fit the way it works for you. We'll avoid we'll just do a couple of pleasantries back and forth, quick, so we can go right into the meat of the 4 components. All right, let's do it. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, who's this?
Hi, it's Peggy Belden.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. We're scheduled to meet today. Is now still a good time?
Yeah, it's a good time. We're
All
good.
right, wonderful, terrific. I'm glad to be reconnecting with you again. I want to just share with you that the objective of our meeting today is to identify if we are the right resource for getting you the results you're looking for. Are you good with that?
So far, so good.
Awesome. So we set aside about 30 minutes today. Does that still work?
I probably have about 20, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so you got a hard stop 20 after the hour.
Right.
I appreciate you telling me that. I want to be mindful of your time. All right, great. So Jim, when we spoke last about 2 weeks ago, you shared a number of things with me. Top of the list from what I recall is you shared with me that you're struggling and your salespeople are struggling, not closing enough business. You and the team are just really frustrated. They're not getting in front of the right people. And they're worried, really concerned about having to discount all the time now. You're cutting margins, and this is what's happening in order to get the deal. Did I get that right?
So far, so good. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to add?
Well, I think in listening I think one of the things that's happening is we probably don't have a process for all of our salespeople. And because of that, there are some issues in their productivity.
Okay, all right. I have heard that before, and we're going to address that as well. Thank you for sharing. So one last thing, you know, in the 2 weeks that we've spoken last, has anything changed since that time?
Yeah, the only thing that's changed is my margins are going down because my salespeople are discounting and discounting like crazy.
All right, well, this is a problem. All right, so again, thank you for sharing that with me. So is it okay, Jim, that I ask you some questions?
Sure, go right ahead.
Terrific. And I'm sure in return, you're going to have questions for me as well, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, terrific. What I want to work with you on is I really, really want to hear more about your vision for the company. You're the business owner. I'm sure you're thinking, what's my 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan out? I do hear from people more recently, hey, Peggy, talk to me about the next 90 days. I can handle that as well. I'm also wanting to hear more from you about how committed you are in hitting that vision. Are you okay with that?
Yes, I am.
Terrific. All right.
Yeah, I want to get out of this business in about 2 years, and I need to maximize the value of the business. So I need my salespeople to sell a lot more and be more profitable.
All right. That sounds like a great plan. Exit strategy. All right. So we're going to cover all that as well. Then at the end of the meeting, Jim, would it be okay if we both determine if it makes sense or not, set up some time in the calendar and meet again? Sound fair?
Yep.
All right. And if it doesn't make sense, I want you to know that it's okay to tell me that. And then I'm going to do the same if I feel we're not the right fit. Okay?
Yep. Sounds
wonderful. Good. All right. So Jim, let's get started. I want to hear where you are, although you told me a little bit, and where you want to be. Out of role play. Thanks, Jim. You're awesome.
Okay. Just to let you know, you got about a minute or so left.
Okay. All right. So quick recap. Why do we have the meeting? Set the objective, put it in a sentence. Thank your buyer and confirm the time. I only had 20 instead of 30 minutes. Both the agendas. Buyer first, yours second. Leave with clearly defined outcomes. Takes the pressure off of the sale. So we have time for some lessons learned and any takeaways and some quick questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Peggy. We'll take questions.
Any questions?
All right, questions? Rob.
Yeah, so can you hear me? Yeah. So that was great, Peggy. My question is this. So the word sales always scared me, and selling always made me very nervous. And so I think in not having to sell, I moved away from selling. Oh. So when you're having these conversations, sometimes I get lost in the, tell me about, what you do or what your problem is. And a lot of that consultation talk to actually moving the conversation into the sale part, like you hiring me and the exchange of money. Like, how do you bridge that gap? When do you get to that?
Well, that's a great question. I get asked that a lot. And that is, you mentioned it's a bridge. We have in the process a sales funnel, and in your inquiry, in your asking of a lot of questions, you're going to evolve to the point where you're going to see if in fact you can help them. I mean, to that end, they're almost going to be asking you for the help before you can engage it with them. So finding out so much pain, and that's what gets you to a sale. I always like to say, if there's no pain, there's no sale. Was that helpful?
Yeah, so identify the pain and then just...
Identify the pain. That's why you asked, like if you saw in my mutual contract, I mentioned a lot of emotional words, like frustrated, struggling, concerned, worried. That elicits pain. That's going to get, to the below the surface of if in fact you can solve their problem for them before you even offer solution one. That's the qualifying part. You may say, wow, I can't help this person, or to your point about clarification, you may want to disqualify them as a client. Terrible prospects are also terrible clients. So before you even engage in an agreement, you can determine if in fact this is the right person to do business with.
How do you, just one more like kind of follow, how do you ask for the sale? How do you get to that uncomfortable point?
Well, Peggy.
Well, you make them give it up. Seriously, you make them give it up instead of you having to ask for the sale. Now, a lot of it comes down to pricing. People will say, what does it cost? What does it cost? What does this investment mean? You know, and you can ask, you can answer a question with another question. You know, well, what were you hoping it to be? You know, sometimes if they ask 2 or 3 times, you've got to answer it. And if you hit them with what your cost is going to be, you can just pause and say, are we still talking?
Other good, Tina.
Yeah, because Peggy, you said, kind of riffing off of that, you said something yesterday in the teaser that you did for our regional meeting. You said about an objection, and I loved what the response was. That could you tell them about that, please?
You mean if someone is interviewing you for work? And
like when you call them and they're like, you know, I don't have, I think you gave some kind of objection thing or a person, and then you kind of like give it back to them like, well, okay. You know?
Oh, okay. I know what I was saying with. Okay. So let's say you're in a scenario where you're meeting with someone and they say, listen, Peggy, I got to tell you right up front. I'm working with Tina Campbell. She's terrific. And I'm really happy where I am with her. Can you give me 3 reasons why I should be working with you? Now, that's the kind of question where you are immediately like, oh my goodness, you know, you are made to feel you got to justify, you got to explain yourself, you're in the defensive mode. Don't do any of that. Take a deep breath and say, Tina Campbell, I've heard really good things about her. She's got a terrific reputation. Pause, pause, pause. I don't think you should leave her. Now that's called a pattern interrupt. You are answering something where they totally didn't believe you're going to go there. Well, Will, you know, I'm year-end budgeting and I may want to make changes. So, you know, what would be the reason? Well, you know, I can't tell you that, but what I can tell you is what I'm doing for my clients. I am helping them when they struggle with A, they're frustrated with B, and they're really, really concerned with C. Do any of those challenges resonate with you? And that's how you kind of bring the conversation and the direction back to them. Whenever you feel you don't know the intent of a question that someone gives you, which would be that, answer the question with a question.
David. Oops, sorry, David, you had a question? Unmute yourself.
I did. In your role play, and maybe once or twice in her presentation, there was the mention of discount and the challenge of discount. What's your thoughts on that?
Hey, this is something I hear all the time today. You know, we're in very difficult times and people feel they're in the driver's seat and they're going to get what they want and they discount. Buyers think it's their right, but you know what, sellers, we have our rights too. I like to say to people that, you know, well, because I'm a business advisor, so I have an easy out because I'd say, well, you know, I'm going to train you not to discount. So if we're going to do business together, how credible am I if I'm going to offer you discounting? If someone pushes you on discounting, it means they don't see the value. They don't see your value proposition. And you could state that right up front. Well, I have to tell you, you know, I'm expensive. I'm not the most expensive, but, you know, we cost a lot. If you don't see the value in what it is that I have to offer you, then we may not be the right fit. We may not be the right fit. Or we are not for everyone. And again, you're diffusing it, you're deflecting it, you're making them think like, oh, wow, this person's of great value. I mean, I went there, I was hoping to didn't get a discount, had to satisfy myself. Okay, cool. always say you're not seeing my value if you want to discount. And that's okay. That's okay. We're not for everyone. And I would say 8 out of 10 times it turns around and it becomes a moot point and they move on. Give it a try. Make sense?
Other questions? Any other questions? All right, great. Thank you so much, Peggy. Thank you, Peggy. Thank you, Katherine, and thank you, Rob. Are there any questions that anybody has for any of our presenters before we quickly have to wrap up?
I would just like, while we're looking for somebody, I just want to say my thank yous because, Rob, Katherine, Peggy, you make us all look good and we're all proud to be part of, your family in this Master Networks regions. And thank you to Jay for New York City region and all of you that are leaders. But if Peggy and Rob and Katherine, if you could put your information in the chat so that people could contact you for, maybe consulting or maybe business, that would be wonderful. And Jim, thank you for pulling it all together and the advisory team that helped make this happen. The next workshop that we're going to do, I think it's February, it's going to be on the next theme, which is going to be tracking. So we're looking for people to speak on tracking. That's your number, know your numbers in your business and all of that. We have some ideas, but if you want to nominate someone to speak on that, that's a Master Networks member, please do that. Let us know who's out there that can speak to that tracking discipline. Go ahead, Jim. I'm sorry. I just wanted to mention that.
Go right ahead. So we have a short period of time left. Does anybody have any final questions for any of our presenters? Okay, well, thank you so much to all of our presenters. Thank you, all of you, for participating. We obviously couldn't do this without you. Again, a special thank you to all of the people on the advisory board, also to Jay and Tina for running these for us. Have a great afternoon.
Happy Thanksgiving.
And happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, everybody.
Guys. Thank you so
Good
much.
to see you all. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, everybody.